Hello. We are happy to be together for a few minutes to briefly explain what the environment and environmental pollution are. The material is developed by Dana Perniu and Camelia Drăghici, professors at Transylvania University from Brașov, Romania, and is intended for those who want to acquire basic information about the environment and its pollution. We often use the terms environment, ambient environment, natural environment, to refer to the environment that is everything around us. The simple term, environment, captures both the natural component, the ecosphere, and man-made systems. The natural environment, the ecosphere, comprises the biotic environment comprising the living systems, and the abiotic environment comprising the physico-chemical systems in which plants and animals live. The natural environment operates on energy from the sun. The abiotic environment includes the atmosphere, or air, the hydrosphere, or water, the lithosphere, which contains the soil, and the climatic system. The atmosphere is composed of a mixture of gases, water vapor, and suspended solid particles, which are distributed inhomogeneously around the planet. Air is the lower layer of the atmosphere, up to an average altitude of 10 kilometers. This layer contains about 90% of the mass of the atmosphere, is the location of weather phenomena, and is the area where human activity is most strongly manifested. The hydrosphere comprises the entire mass of water on the planet, regardless of its state of aggregation, vapor, liquid, or solid. The geosphere is the solid part of the Earth. The part of the geosphere directly involved in environmental processes in contact with the atmosphere, hydrosphere, and biosphere is called the lithosphere. Soil is the most important component of the lithosphere, and is the medium for growing plants and producing food, supporting forests and infrastructure. The environment contains, alongside the natural components, everything that man has built and is building to provide the conditions for life. These are all referred to as man-made systems, anthropogenic factors, or built environment. Everything we refer to as the environment can be understood as a planetary megasystem, comprising the natural environment and the built environment in interaction. Between the components of the natural environment there are complex interactions, on which the existence of the planet is based. Over time, due to socioeconomic evolution, the development of man-made systems has been possible based on interactions with the natural environment. The functioning of the built environment is based on resources provided by the natural environment, and the result of their functioning ends up in the natural environment. As a result, the built environment is now exerting pressure on the natural environment, which has in many cases led to a limitation of the planet's ability to provide the conditions for life. The quality of the environment as a whole is determined by the quality of all natural environmental factors interacting with anthropogenic ones, resulting in the influence of the ecological balance. Environmental degradation is the alteration of the physico-chemical and structural characteristics of the natural and man-made components of the environment, the reduction in the biological diversity or productivity of natural ecosystems and man-made systems, the deterioration of the natural environment with effects on the quality of life, caused mainly by pollution of water, air, and soil, overexploitation of resources, their poor management and exploitation, and inappropriate land use planning. Pollution is the direct or indirect introduction of a pollutant that may harm human health and/or the quality of the environment, damage material goods, or cause damage the environment as recreational or cultural space. Pollution leads to the degradation of the quality of the environment due to natural or man-made processes that make it less suitable for providing the conditions necessary for life. The atmosphere, or simply air, is a mixture of gases, water vapor, and solid particles in suspension, which are distributed non-homogeneously around the planet under the influence of gravity and other external forces. Often the composition of the atmosphere is altered due to chemical pollutants, emitted into the atmosphere as a result of the operation of man-made systems. Thus, either naturally occurring species are emitted into the atmosphere, but their quantity exceeds the normally existing quantities, or new substances are emitted that are not naturally present, or are formed in the atmosphere as a result of chemical and photochemical processes involving both natural and polluting species. Naturally, dry air contains nitrogen as the major component, oxygen as the main source for life on Earth, argon, carbon dioxide, and other gases. In very small quantities, there is ammonia, nitrogen oxides, sulfur dioxide, methane, ozone, species whose concentration can be significantly increased due to emissions from various anthropogenic activities. In the atmosphere there are varying amounts of water vapor, which gives the air moisture and contributes, together with carbon dioxide, to the planet's natural greenhouse effect. Along with the gaseous components, species in solid or liquid form, called particulate matter, are present in the atmosphere in varying quantities depending on location and season. The symbol for particulate matter is the acronym PM and a number which gives the particle diameter expressed in micrometers. Particulate matters coagulate solid and liquid chemical species and can adsorb gaseous species, so their composition is particularly complex and their presence in the environment is closely monitored by the relevant institutions. The hydrosphere, or simply water, comprises the entire mass of water on the planet, regardless of its state of aggregation, vapor, liquid, or solid. Surface and groundwater composition is dominated by dissolved salts from the mineral constituents of the soil with which the water comes into contact. Precipitation brings an input of dissolved gases from the atmosphere. As a result of use in the man-made systems, water changes its original properties, becoming wastewater, and once discharged into a natural receptor can cause deterioration of its composition. The composition of natural waters is complex, depending on the type of water, and may include chemical species of different origin, inorganic species, of mineral origin, in ionic form, or organic species such as methane, organic compounds with nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, derived from biochemical processes involving living organisms. Water contains dissolved gases, and the most important are oxygen and carbon dioxide. Naturally, there are also particles of varying sizes forming solutions, suspensions, or coarse particles that give the water the turbidity. The hydrosphere is the living environment for a wide variety of living organisms. Water pollution means any physical, chemical, biological, or bacteriological alteration of water above a fixed permissible limit, including the exceeding of natural levels of radioactivity caused directly or indirectly by human activities, which renders it unfit for normal use for the purposes for which such use was possible before the alteration occurred. Waters may be contaminated either by pollutants from the atmosphere entering the water or by pollutants from various sources discharged directly into natural waters or leaching into nearby soils. Soil is the most important component of the lithosphere, the depth of which depends on its use for human activities, as a medium for growing plants and producing food, as a support for forests and infrastructure. Soil is a polydispersed, structured and porous system, a mixture of minerals, organic substances, and biochemical compounds, which are found in the soil in three states of aggregation: gaseous, meaning soil air, liquid representing the soil solution, and the solid component which contains mineral, organic and biochemical compounds. Soil pollution is any disturbance that affects the quality and/or quantity of soils. The degree of pollution is assessed either in terms of the percentage reduction of the yield in terms of quantity and/or quality compared to the yield obtained on unpolluted soil, or by exceeding in various proportions the accepted thresholds of some of the soil components. Soil pollution is a direct result either of extreme natural events, but especially of non-conforming anthropogenic activities. Thus, airborne pollutants, radioactive materials, emissions and discharges of liquid wastes from industrial activities, or from ballast pits, oil extraction, mining operations can deposit and then infiltrate into the soil. Insufficiently treated industrial or domestic wastewater or water used for irrigation may reach the ground and infiltrate. Excessive use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides can also cause deterioration in soil quality. Waste is one of the most common sources of soil pollution. The household waste or sludge from water treatment plants used as fertilizers in agriculture or stored and distributed improperly can cause soil pollution. The waste from industrial, agrozootechnical, forestry or domestic activities, landfills, tailings ponds, the waste dumps, ash or sludge dumps are sources of pollution for soils. Pollution of environmental factors has been briefly presented to create an overview of the issue, which is very complex. An apparently simple model can be used to interpret this process, but it involves numerous physical, chemical, biological, social, and economic processes. Pollution is caused by a source, usually anthropogenic activity, but it can also be natural. The source emits pollutants that are transported into water, air, and/or soil. Pollutants can be in solid, liquid, or gaseous form and are transported into environmental components via transport vectors such as air, water, or soil water. Once in the environment, pollutants may be involved in physicochemical or biochemical processes and in turn generate other pollutant species. However, there are some extremely stable pollutants, which can be transported long distances from their source, or persist in the environmental component for a long time, where they accumulate. The environmental factor is thus polluted and the negative effects are felt by living organisms, including humans, the built environment, ecosystems, and even the global environment. For example, specific agricultural activity can be a source of pollution through the use of pesticides. They are complex, stable chemical substrates that are mainly used to prevent or control pests and therefore plant diseases. After distribution, pesticides end up in the soil as well as in the water and air, even far away from where they were used, affecting wildlife and even contributing to climate change. In high concentrations, or following bioaccumulation in living organisms, these substances can have negative effects on the environment and human health, primarily because they are non-biodegradable. Understanding the processes in the environment and especially the interactions between its components is fundamental to carrying out activities that do not lead to irreparable imbalances. To obtain detailed information, we invite you to access the materials proposed in the e-learning platform or other materials representative for your field of interest.